Yo, what's good, my people? What's good, my people? It's your boy, Jason Gooner, and we're back again with some more live content. As you see in the title and the thumbnail, today we'll be discussing some Reggae Boyz topics that have been making the rounds. Yes, of course. JFF seeks Bailey clarity. We're going to dive into that one right away. First and foremost, we're going to get to that. Then we're going to talk about Cephas. He's safe, but was it the right move? Yeah, we're going to discuss all of that as well. And then the last thing I want to touch on is Antonio being confident about the future. Antonio being confident about the future under our new head coach, Steve McClaren. So, yeah, we're going to have some spirited discussion today. There have been quite a few differing views as far as the JFF stance on Leon Bailey. And we're just going to put the facts out there, what we have seen in writing from various, well, not various, but a few media outlets and everything. And I'm just going to give my take. Definitely at some point in the conversation, I will go ahead and put the call-in number on screen. Would love to get takes from people on this. I know that the views will probably differ on this one. So, we are a channel that, we don't really cow down any kind of views from people in terms of how they feel. We like to hear it out, let everybody hear out what they think, and then we, try to make sense of everything. So that's what the plan is for today. This one should be a good one, people. So make sure you have to do the YouTube things for me: like, share, and subscribe. You see it running across the screen as a reminder. I do not really understand how you do the have you liked the video yet, yes or no. I'm gonna figure that out at some point. I heard Cranky talking about this as well, so him and I are in the same boat on that. We just need to find out how to do it. But in the meantime, just do what you should and like the video first and foremost. That's what helps it get out there into the algorithm. While you guys are doing that and we're waiting for the place to get some folks in the building, I'm just going to go ahead and share this around into a few other places. So yeah, man, as we get started, first things first, people, I hope everybody's having a wonderful day so far. I have some time today, so I wanted to go ahead and get some content out there to the people. Let's see who is bigging up the place already. Chorus, big up yourself, brother. Respect for being here. Drew Russ, bless up. Yeah, man. Let them know for up the likes every time. Yeah, man. Antonio seems agreed the hiring of McClaren. Yeah, we're gonna touch on that. That's probably what I'm gonna close the show off with, Chorus. I think these first few topics are, it will divide opinion how I feel, I'm sure. But the last one, I think we can all agree it's more of a feel good. So we want to end the show off with something positive. The first part of the show, I'm sure, will be a bit of banter back and forth between everybody. All right. Antonio seems to agree with the hiring. Yeah, man, he does. Seems that way, at least. So as I said, people, I'm just going to share this around to a few more places. I know people probably don't expect me to be going live during the middle of the day at times. So we just want to maximize the chances of people knowing that we're even here. So I am just sending it out to a few places that I know some folks might be able to at least know that we are live. Remember, how you can help me out with this is, if you're subscribed to the channel already, be sure to turn on all notifications so that you guys are aware when I do go live. So yeah, if you can do that for me, that will be a great help. I will do my part as well and share it as much as I can, but I don't want to take too much time doing that because I know you guys have turned on this video for me to start talking to you. So let me just do this last thing here. Go through here. Yep. Send it out to some folks. Yeah, man, and just let them know that we are live. So as I said before, people, I hope everyone is having a good day so far. A good week so far. We're up to Thursday now, so we're fast approaching the weekend. As you know, tomorrow the Premier League gets back going, so all football fans, I'm sure, are excited for that. But today, as the title shows and as the thumbnail shows, we're going to just discuss a few of the topics that are making the rounds right now in the Jamaica football category, especially to do with the Reggae Boyz themselves. All right, so bear with me here. I'm almost finished getting this out to some more people. Let's see. All right, cool. That is that, people. I've done my side work. All right. So first things first, I'm somebody that likes to go through everything with you guys. So I want to go ahead and pull onto the screen an article that was in the Jamaica Gleaner. This article had to do with, let's see, are we even in the right place? No. All right. So this article had to do with the JFF stance as far as a return to the Reggae Boyz national setup for Leon Bailey. Where is it? Hold on 1 second there, people. I had it pulled up, but it gone. So hold on 1 second. Let me find it back. While I'm doing that, people, be sure to smash that like button. It is extremely important that you do so for us. It is the best way to get the video out there and let more folks know that we are live. So I'm just finding the article again. Okay, here we go. All right, so that wasn't too bad. Make sure this is the one I want to show. Okay, yes, this is exactly what I was looking for. All right, so let me get this back on screen. We're going to read the article and then we'll dive into the discussion. All right, so let me get this on there. Oh, it was already there? Well, it's all right. I found another way. So this is the article I wanted to go ahead and read for you guys. We're going to go through it together. So the title of the article is JFF Won't Budge on Bailey. And we want to big up the author of the article as well, Mr. Livingston Scott. You know, one that is making a name for himself as one of the journalists in Jamaica that I think asks some, you know, cutting edge questions, tries to get to you know, the meat of a lot of the matters. And you know, I really respect his approach when he's in these press conferences and whatnot. So big up yourself, Livingston Scott. And this is what the article reads. While new Reggae Boyz head coach Steve McClaren is willing to give Leon Bailey a clean slate, the Jamaica Football Federation has maintained its bottom line when it comes to the Aston Villa winger. Why for that? Bailey is still required to write a letter to clear the air with the Federation before he can be recalled to the Reggae Boyz squad, said JFF General Secretary Dennis Chung. I'm going to read that paragraph again. Bailey is still required to write a letter to clear the air with the Federation before he can be recalled to the Reggae Boyz squad, said JFF General Secretary Dennis Chung. Chung did not indicate that the JFF took issue with new Reggae Boyz coach Stephen McClaren talking to Bailey in lieu of such a letter, but pointed out that the winger will not be available to McClaren for selection until one was presented. I'm going to read this paragraph again. Listen. Chung did not indicate that the JFF took issue with new Reggae Boyz coach Stephen McClaren talking to Bailey in lieu of such a letter, but pointed out that the winger will not be available to McClaren for selection until one was presented. During his unveiling last week, McClaren, a former England manager, declared a clean slate for Bailey, and that from all his discussions with members of the Federation, Bailey remains a valuable asset to the program. Very true. We saw the press conference, so we know that's true. He said he intends to reach out to the exiled player and have dialogue with him to see where his headspace is. I like connecting with players, McClaren had said. I like talking to players, and the most important thing with Leon is to talk to him, to connect, to communicate. And it's a clean sheet with me coming in. I know a little about the history. I know a little of what's going on. I understand top players. I understand them, and it's a conversation we will definitely have. He revealed that on his return to England, he will be reaching out to Bailey, and all he requires is that the player be fully committed. There's that C word again. I only left Manchester on Monday and came here to meet everybody. As soon as I go back, phone calls to all the players, go see all the players. Quite fortunately, he is not far from where I live. I can contact him and meet, see what the situation is like, see what his mind is like, he said. They say he's an asset. He's a good player, and I know that you need good players. We need him to commit. There's that C word again. That's the most important thing. Nevertheless, before Leon can even be considered for selection, Chung insists he must make his intention to play for the Reggae Boyz known to the JFF. And this is Chung now. The situation is still the same. We suspended his selection and asked that he write to us stating his desire to play for the team so that we would not have the previous misunderstanding. The JFF made the decision to temporarily suspend Bailey's selection to the team following comments he made in a podcast questioning the JFF's professionalism and explaining his non-participation in the 2024 Copa America despite being selected. He also made himself unavailable for selection for the foreseeable future. That's a key part there. The JFF release in June on the issue stated that consideration was also given to his stated desire to take a break from national duties, and suspending his selection will guard against any further miscommunication. It also pointed out that the matter was referred to the Disciplinary and Ethics Committee. There has been no word on whether or not the Disciplinary and Ethics Committee has deliberated on the matter. So that is the article in full by Livingston Scott of the Gleaner. Once again, big up to Livingston Scott for the article. Big up to Livingston Scott for the article. So let's break down some of the things that were said in this article. I read a part of the article twice just for clarity. And the reason why I did so is one of the running narratives I've heard is that Leon Bailey does not need to apologize to the JFF for anything. While I might not agree in total with that, I do agree that an apology should not be a reason, or a lack of apology should not be a reason for him not to be called. But one thing that I can't understand from the faction of the fans that are saying, he doesn't need to do anything to get back into the team. The last time when we were going into the Copa America and the World Cup qualifiers, well, the Copa America really, there was a conversation that was had in private between Mr. Chung, General Secretary, Leon Bailey's, I guess, manager, Craig Butler, and the former head coach, Hamer Hallgrimsson. And basically, from that meeting, the Coach Hallgrimsson thought that everything was okay, they have moved on, and he can select him. Now, of course, once the team did come out and we saw the list and Leon Bailey was on that list, he then posted on his Instagram misleading information, which then caused a big problem as far as, he said, she said, and Butler came out on platforms and said he doesn't understand why the coach would do such a thing when he never actually got word from Leon himself. And so, we have seen the JFF play this card of suspending selection before. If you have been following anything to do with the JFF, you know that the female Reggae Girl team also had something similar when they were going through their disputes post the World Cup with the JFF, namely Bonnie Shaw, Rebecca Spencer, and some of the more prominent members of that team. Eventually, the entire team that went to the World Cup was suspended for selection. And at the time, we were told that that is somewhat of a safety net for the players themselves, because if they are called to an international setup and they do not turn up and they don't have a reason, namely an injury, personal personal emergency or family emergency, things of that nature, they don't have the right to not show up. And if the JFF or FIFA, I should say, FIFA can then sanction the players for not turning up for an international call-up, and then they would have to miss game time with their respective clubs. So when it was explained that way, at the time, while I didn't think that the JFF should have really been leveling any kind of sanctions on the girls, I understood that that is a way to safeguard them from anything happening in their club atmosphere, right? So I understood why they would take that route. Now, similar is being done with Bailey, and people are just not understanding why he's being singled out to have to let the federation know formally in writing that he is available again for selection. Now, one thing that I'm not understanding, I don't know why, based on what this article said, people were saying that Bailey would ever have to apologize to the JFF. I don't know where that word came from. I'm not sure who ran with that. I don't know. But I can tell you right now, nothing from what I have researched or anything that I have read leads me to believe that he would need to offer an apology. All they're asking is that he puts in writing formally that he would, or well, whether formal or informal, because they didn't really specify, but it just needs to be in writing that he is available again to be selected. And I, for one, do not understand why there's this big backlash against that. Um, I think if you look at Leon Bailey and the history that he has had with the fans, I think he's one that is definitely loved by almost all Jamaica fans or fans of football. He's one of the players that is flagging the flag high in a prominent league, in the Premier League. Did extremely well last year for Aston Villa. So, we have a sense of pride when we see him do great things, right? Even though a lot will say, maybe when it comes on to playing for the Reggae Boyz themselves, he hasn't performed at his optimum level. I feel like most people would still want him in the squad, in the team, because you know what he can bring on the day. If he has a great day, he's going to have a great match because he's a good player, right? He's a great player, good to great player, I would say, right? So, I just feel like people need to understand that we can't, on one hand, bash the JFF for their lack of professionalism when they make a step to try to operate in a more professional manner, which would be for him to just put it in writing formally so that there's a paper trail to avoid what happened during the Copa America. Because if something was formal and in writing, I can assure you, Hal Grimson wouldn't have called him, and then there wouldn't have been any kind of backlash towards Bailey for not playing in the Copa. Or maybe, I shouldn't say any, but it wouldn't be a case where, well, we saw him on the list and he's not there, which I think stoked the fires of those that wanted to level blame on him for not playing. If he's having issues with his mental health in regards to representing Jamaica, if he's having issues with the professionalism levels of the JFF, that's one thing. But at the same time, when the JFF in response tries to act in a more professional way, which would mean let's put something in writing, right? Let's put something in writing and make sure that you want to be back on the team. I do not understand why it's such a bad thing. It doesn't make sense to me at all. We can't argue about them operating as a patty shop and then only want to eat patties. At some point, we have to want to put something else on the plate. And I think this is a step towards some level of professionalism, at the very least, in the sense of player federation and communication when it comes on to picking squads and availability, right? I've heard some as well saying, they're kind of picking on Leon in this regard because other players have made themselves unavailable, right? Or, we have heard that they were due to be called, and for whatever reason, they could not make it. I would say to them this: how many of those players categorically stated on a platform, on their Instagram, anywhere, that they want to take a break from international football? And if you cannot come back to me with a player that has actually done that, then you should also understand why the JFF wants something in writing back to them before they even call up the player. Another thing that I'm hearing that I don't quite understand, and the letter alluded to, not the letter, but the article alluded to it as well, and I'm going to read it again for you guys, right? There's a part of this that says, the coach said that he's going to have a conversation with him, and nobody at the JFF is stopping him from doing so. Again, Chung did not indicate that the JFF took issue with new Reggae Boyz coach Steve McClaren talking to Bailey in lieu of such a letter. So anybody saying, the conversation needs to happen before any letter, I totally agree with that. I don't expect Leon Bailey to just out of the blue write a letter without having a conversation with the federation, the coach, or whoever he sees it fit to speak to, right? One is not exclusive of the other. Steve McClaren could very well be talking to Leon Bailey right now, for all we know. And there's no letter that has been sent to the JFF. So a letter not being sent or being sent does not stop communication between the coach and the player or the player's agent, right? So these things are not mutually exclusive. And I don't want people to think the fact that the JFF has come out and stated they need a letter before selection means that Steve McClaren can't speak to him in the meantime and try to get, gauge where his head is at. Try to, I don't know if he can convince him, but at least tell him, listen, I am in this job now. I would like to have a clean slate with you. I don't want to bring the previous stuff along with us. And he just needs to be open and honest with him and say, listen, I am not saying that I can change everything in a day or 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 windows, but I can assure you that I have a certain level of professionalism that I would like to uphold, and within reason, within resource levels, whatever the JFF can do, I will assure you that I will be, on the side of keeping it as professional as possible, right? And as long as that conversation can be had, I think we can get somewhere with that conversation. So let me look in the comment section, see if anybody has any thoughts. Was hoping to hear that he will never ever have the opportunity to wear our country's colors again. So Rich Toys is totally against having him back in the team. Robert Grant, bless up yourself. Yeah, man, J Beans, them call me Jason Gooner now, but I still respond to J Beans. Everybody who might have heard that was my rap name when I was a recording artist rapping. So that should let you know that Robert Grant is a long-time party, a foundation brother. That's Zine. So big up yourself, Bob. JFF needs to leave the Bailey issue to the coach. No need to be battling Bailey in public. Okay, Nitro. I will put to you, Nitro. And let me keep going because you may have responded again. Owen, bless up yourself. Thank you for the view, Owen. Thank you for being here and like the video, my boss. Don't count me among them. For Jamaica, he's a waste of space. All right, so Rich Toy is making it known. I respect your sober take on the matter. Other vloggers are stoking this fire and nonsense about Bailey needing to apologize. Yeah, well, look, as I always say in Nitro, people have their own style. I'm not going to beat them for their style. I am somebody that watches all the programs. If I have time, I will be on there. I will comment if I have time. If I don't have time, I usually don't say anything and I watch. But I was on a program last night. Big up yourself, Ryan. I think it was Intense Sports. Yeah, Intense Sports had a program, and I had to call in because I was just like, I don't understand why we scream for wanting professionalism, and to me, requesting something formal in writing or informal, just something in writing where a paper trail can be seen and there can be no mix-up as far as who said this, what time, and the coach can't misunderstand the conversation that they have. It might go well in his eyes and Bailey leaves it saying, I still don't want to play because I'm not convinced, or whatever the case is. So to avoid that, before he can be selected again, he just needs to let them know, whether it's from him or his agency. I am sick and tired of playing a man short when he's on the field. Rich Toy still ablaze the fire. Pristine, bless up yourself. Thanks for being here. Sure, but why go public with this when McClaren said he would deal with it? Nitro, that's a point that I can understand. Could it be that they could have just told McClaren to tell him this in this conversation? Maybe. But, again, that's something that is another he said, she said, potentially, because McClaren could say after the fact, I did mention to Bailey that he would have to write something, and Bailey would say, boy, I don't remember him saying that, or he never said that, so transparency is something that we asked for, and they are trying to provide that. So I'm not going to beat them for putting it in print and writing, that needs to happen. Okay. But I understand where you're coming from. It could have been dealt with in-house perhaps, but again, because I heard the word styling a lot, like JFF is styling Bailey with this, right? Bailey could have came to them privately as well and said, I want to take a break, and whatever the case is, and it would have been on the JFF to keep it private or not. But he decided to make everything public. So you cannot now turn around and say, why are they going public? I mean, it's become a public thing. How many publications around the world spoke about this story in March when it broke? Almost all of them. So, it's a public issue already. So I don't know if it can be hidden. Bless up yourself, Hot Chili. What go on? Corey saying exactly, Jason G. Have we heard from the agent or Bailey? If not, why are we talking about this? Pristine, well, I am not speaking from the point of view of Bailey or his agent or his agency. Um, but I understand where you're coming from in terms of, until we hear both sides, how can we really have a discussion on it? I am only discussing it from the point of view of how I have heard fans reacting to the article, right? And I'm just not understanding why, even if you don't agree with how they did it, I can't understand how you wouldn't want whatever comes of this down the road to be something that has an actual paper trail, a way to say, okay, you know, because we've seen in the past, right? One side said one thing, the other side said the other thing. Um, and what had to be done about it? Butler saved the conversation and put it out there to the world. Now, that was a private conversation that he decided to make public. The JFF is trying to get away from that and saying, listen, if you want to play again, just let us know in writing. And that way there can be no mix up. So the news that you send to us from a third party, and we are told that, and then we put you on the team, and then after the fact now you say, no, I was never ready, it was misinterpreted, the message, that just eliminates that. It eliminates that. So I think that's a good thing, Pristine, Lansley Blake, best up yourself, my boss. Go on. Yeah, beat me from where they, but I understand that you are someone like myself that can compartmentalize things. So that doesn't mean we must disagree every time. But we did disagree a few times in the past recently. But I still consider you a valuable asset to the conversations, because your thoughts are always measured, and you don't hold back. And I think that's something that's needed to get clarity on things. Respect Drew Ross. Thank you. Just send an email and get on with the football. Yeah, it can be an email. It can be something that is never made public. They just have to receive something. That's all. Now the player should be a man and make the decision to play again. Yeah, it's at the end of the day, the ball is in his court. The JFF cannot steer this ship. He asked for the time. He has been given the time by way of suspending his selection, so that a coach, even if he wants to select him, can't. So it's up to him now to let us know when he would be available again, because we just don't want to go through the situation we went through, where we submitted a list to a competition. One of the players can't go, and now we're down a person. We can't, unless that person is not there for injury purposes or injury reasons, we cannot replace him. So we're just trying to avoid that moving forward. The JFF is the head. JFF don't want the Copa incident to happen again. That's it. That is all, hot chili. Triple E, bless Sir Jason Gooner. I can keep up with your daytime segment better than late night. LOL. Yeah, well, look, Triple E, I don't always have time during the day, so I can't really say, okay, every day, 12 o'clock, look out for Jason Gooner TV. So because of the way my life set up with the children, with working a job full time, I just have to kind of get the videos in where I can fit them. But one thing I will say, though, I really appreciate a lot of the folks that, whenever I do late night shows, they always revisit them. Even if they can't see the whole thing, they'll watch some in the morning, watch some in the evening, watch some at night, and drop those likes and let those videos get out there. So we're just greatly appreciative whenever you can watch the videos. Of course, it's really nice when you're here live, because then you can give your takes in real time. But one thing I will encourage as well, if you guys haven't had a chance to watch it live, let me know in the comment section what you think. I know a lot of times I don't see many comments after the fact on these videos. So just let me know what you're thinking so we can keep the conversation going. I think the JFF should have addressed his agent, because the agent would ask the player if he's ready to play. Then the agent would write email that Bailey is available for selection. Well, I know it wasn't specified in the article, Christopher, right? But I would think that any writing, whether it would come from Bailey himself, would come from his representative, which in this case would probably be Mr. Butler, that would probably suffice, because there is at least something in writing that states this player, Leon Bailey, is available for selection again. So, they did say the word Bailey in the article, so I can't really say that they left it open to anyone, but I would think that even if it came from Phoenix Sports Management, right, that would suffice. Just something in writing that they can look to and say, see it here, people, this is the proof. And I honestly feel like even if I was a JFF, let me not speak for them, but if I was a part of the JFF and I had anything to do with how they're going to play this out, I would be saying to whoever would listen, if we do receive any kind of correspondence from his agency, his agent, or him, we don't need to make that public. All we need to then do is, if the coach wants to select him, he's in the team. The only reason I think they want that in writing is if he's selected and he decides not to play, then they can say, okay, well, what was this about? Why did you tell us that you were available for selection? And I think that's why they want this done. Yeah. Your show's always good and focus on facts or what is reported. Yeah, I try to start from that base of facts. And of course, I have opinion, and I it's for a part at times it is opinion based, but it's yeah, the foundation is something factual, and then we work off of that for sure. But Jason, they are now beating the player, and he did not say one way or the other if he's not or going to sign. But Jason, they are now beating the player. Pristine, elaborate a bit on beating the player. I don't necessarily think they're beating the player. He said that he was not available for selection for a number of reasons. Lack of professionalism, and he listed his reasons why he thought so. And he said also, my mental health is not the best when I'm representing the team, so I just need a break. I need to shut off from it for a while. I think that will help my mental health. They said, okay, no problem. Well, and not at first. At first, they tried to convince him to play through the former coach. The former coach thought that he had, had a breakthrough with his agent. That was not the case. Put him in the team. He decides that no, he's not ready to play. Pristine, all I'm saying is that whole fiasco with the Copa America squad, if it wasn't an informal behind closed doors conversation that happened, we wouldn't then have to hear Hallgrimsson's take and Butler's take and have to try to pick sides of who we believe. There would just be something in writing stating, I don't want to play or I do want to play. And that's what they want to achieve now. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I wouldn't necessarily say that that's beating the player. It's just literally saying, listen, we get it. You don't want to play right now. That, they can't convince him otherwise. Because there are things that I'm sure Leon asked for that they probably can't achieve. That's just the facts. If we're being honest with ourselves, there's certain things that they can't achieve. They don't have the resources to achieve them. So yeah, I don't necessarily see this as them beating him. They are saying some do not want him back on the team. Well, Pristine, look, again, I try to deal with what we have been presented, right? And based on that article, nothing about that article suggested that. No, yes, I like you hear rumblings and watch programs and everything, but I ask you this, Pristine, has anybody provided any kind of evidence of such, or is it just conjecture and hearsay? Because if it is, then can we really work with that? We can't. Lansley Blake says the letter is a must for his return to be accepted as free of bias and deemed professional. Lansley Blake, that is it. I said last night on Ryan's program, we cussed the JFF about patty shop, but all the man them want to eat and the woman them want to eat is patty. So why we cussing the patty shop if we love patty so much? It don't make sense. Both parties have equal responsibility to make sure communication is properly communicated. This will avoid any back and forth. I agree, Triple E, because the whole, yeah, man, make it work it out. And, no, clearly that's not going to work because we tried that the last time and it didn't work. So we beat the JFF for trying the same things. When they recycle coaches for the youth programs, we beat them. When I personally don't understand why Mr. Garden is still an assistant in the setup for the Reggae Boyz. I beat them for that. But again, we have to be able to compartmentalize things. I can't just beat them blindly. If they are doing something that makes sense to me, I'm going to tell you guys that's what I think. And as simple as that. Anybody who has followed my program since I started it, I don't hold the general secretary in the highest esteem or regard. I think he does a lot of things that are, worthy of me scratching my head. But in this instance, I don't see anything wrong. I just don't. Best of his agent keep away from the situation. Yeah, look, that's probably not going to be possible. So we'll see how that plays out. Peter Mystic, big up yourself. I have long thought that Bailey should separate himself from Craig because Craig is the one who is toxic. I hear that it's in the making, which is a damn good thing. Well, yeah, I have heard similar, Peter Mystic. I don't think, because of the history of them, I doubt that it would ever be a complete separation. But I do know that as far as some of his financial dealings are concerned, he has, seeked other guidance than just from him. And honestly, I think his professionalism at club level has improved as well. And I would like to think that that's a byproduct of, maybe getting some different advice from time to time from different people. I don't have any evidence of this, but that's just me speculating, based on how I see him acting as a professional. I would say within the last, maybe, I don't know, pretty much whenever he's not representing the Reggae Boyz. I think it's almost like he's reminded of those ways when he gets onto the island or gets with the Reggae Boyz again, So yeah, I agree, Peter Mystic. Okay, I read that already. Pristine say rather objectivity. Fair, Pristine, fair. One letter can't kill you for representing your country. No, I don't agree either. All right, Nitro said, I heard Butland hits FM last night saying he's taking himself away from the issue. So hopefully Bailey, McClaren, and JFF can sort this out. Mr. Butler, hats off to you, my friend. Leon is a big man. Let him sort out himself. All right. I'm sure if he needs your guidance or advice, he will reach out to you for it. But if that's true, Nitro, and I don't think Nitro would lie about this, that is worthy of a clap, and I'm glad to hear that. Question is, all right, Christopher Wright, big up yourself. Question is, is JFF prepared to tell us if any of the concerns he had brought to the public? Wait, is JFF prepared to tell us if any of the concerns he had brought to the public is willing to do them, or when they will be addressed if they are reasonable? That's a good question. Christopher Wright. The JFF is kind of, in a way, absolving themselves of some of the demands that were made by just putting the ball in his court. At some point, though, I would tend to believe that Bailey is going to want to have a conversation with them, I shouldn't say demands, because that was corrected to suggestions, his suggestions as far as how they could, run things more professionally. So let's see if that conversation has to be had as well. The good thing is the coach seems open to at least having the conversation. When the previous coach stated after the whole fiasco, he's wiped his hands with it, he's done with it. I didn't think Bailey would play under that coach again. And so the fact that he's a new coach now, kind of lends me to believe that there's a chance. I didn't think there was any chance if the previous coach stayed on, though. Big up yourself, DNA. Go on. Keep putting in the work, my brother. I see you putting out some content recently. I've definitely been catching up with it, and yeah, man, keep up the hard work, my friend. Float, best up yourself. So the JFF has an ethics committee. Interesting. Yes, they do. They do. Disciplinary and ethics committee. Yes. Don't even know what that means at Nitro. No, I mean, it just means that he's removing himself from it. So, that's a good thing, I would think. I follow you from start, and I think you are less in mix-up, so I'd rather you wait until. Okay, fair enough, Pristine. I understand. Again, I don't think that this conversation is I don't think this is. Again, I'm only speaking to what was brought up in the article, so I understand, trying to, speculate as to how the conversation with McClaren might go and how Bailey's going to receive it. That's really not my intention. My only intention, excuse me, My only intention is to try to just let people know my thoughts on what the JFF has brought to the table, because we can't speak on that, right, Pristine? They have said in order for Bailey to come back, they would like to receive something in writing that he is available. And as for my money, I'm okay with that. I don't see any issue with that. As far as the rest of it and how it's going to play out, that is the stuff that I leave alone for now, Pristine. But hopefully you understand why I even touched this topics now, because I'm only working with what we have been told. I'm not really bringing anything else to the table. I thought the JFF mentioned some changes, for example, giving players own room in the last Copa America league. I basically, what I've heard, and I've heard the current team manager, Mr. Stennett, I am sure sports management, saying that if players do want a room alone, they literally just pay the difference to the hotel and get their own room. So that's something that's always there if they would like to take up that offer. And it's something that he I think he mentioned a few of the names. I know Gray was one, Mikel Antonio was one, that normally take up that offer. I hope you understand when I say I don't know what that means, because of CB pass issue communication, which always create confusion. Yeah, I got you. So you're saying, he could very well be saying this, but by tomorrow he's on a rampage on his IG story. Yeah, I get it. It for now it's just lip service, but at least there's somewhere out there you can go and hear him say he's going to remove himself from this particular situation. I think that will actually help to get some kind of closure to the whole thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. My pre-way I said Triple E. Yeah, man, pristine. No, but again, I don't want you to think I don't understand or overstand where you're coming from, because I have prided myself on not running with things too early. Yeah, that's all we can do at this point, see in the next few weeks. But again, I just want to tell people, look, let's not turn this into the JFF a style Bailey, and I don't see it that way. I just don't see it that way. And I know it's hard with their track record to not go immediately to that, but I just think this is actually an attempt on their part to make sure that whenever the situation arises, there's no mix-up. There's no mix-up, right? And if it's one thing we know that the JFF has going on a lot of the times in the past, is a bag of mix-up stuff. And they're just trying to avoid that. And I don't see anything wrong with that. So, look, as I said, we look at everything in its own thing. And for this one, I don't see any issue with them taking this stance. I don't see any issue with them taking this stance. The one thing I will say, and someone mentioned it, I can't remember who, forgive me, but this could have been done by them privately. They could have let him know privately that that's what they wish to see before calling him. Maybe the fact why they did it publicly is they're trying to avoid when this next squad comes out, if they don't see his name there, then they can automatically assume or kind of deduct that he hasn't written the letter yet, and that's why he's not called. Because I don't care how bad we think he has played for Jamaica since he has been here, or whoever thinks that he doesn't turn up for Jamaica. If we're being honest with ourselves, when a squad is being picked for Jamaica, Leon Bailey makes the squad. I don't care. He would be on the squad. Any coach in their right mind is putting him on the squad. So if he's not there, we know why. It's not because the coach doesn't want him. It's because he hasn't made himself available. I always felt uncomfortable sharing rooms. Big men should not be sharing rooms. Well, Nitro, look, that's something that, look, because I've seen too many examples around the world of national teams sharing rooms, everyone goes back to Lionel Messi sharing a room. And I think that's enough for me. If someone of that level, Argentina, I'm sure, have a lot better financial situation than the JFF. Maybe not that far away, but I'm sure it's better. And they're doing it. Then look, when you're, yes, they're big men, not going around that fact, but it's a team game. And when you have a squad of 26 or whatever the case is, they need physios, they need assistant coaches, managers. All these people need rooms. That's just something. That's just something that is going to happen typically when you're talking about a team setup, right? So I don't know. I feel like the sharing of the room thing is not so big a deal, because at the end of the day, you have to look at precedent, right? If we all know that Jamaica don't have the resources of a lot of places in terms of for the national team setup and everything, why would we be doing things that are more expensive than other teams that have more resources than us are doing? It just doesn't make sense. Henry, big up yourself. The World Cup train not leaving Bailey. If you're more brand name players comes in, he doesn't want to be on the outside looking in. That's one way to look at it, Henry. As we get closer to that World Cup potential qualification, will his mental state be better? We'll see. Danny dread up, Yeah, man, I love how you beat and teach last night, man. Ryan had to change his mouth after your phone call, and I had to call in and drive the point home some more as well. So big up yourself, Danny Dread. Bailey will be at the World Cup, but not on the pitch. Big up yourself, Danny Dean. Carissa dead with laugh. Yeah, man, just deduct that he's not ready. Simple as. Triple E said, trust me, that kid LB is a great asset. I just hope he doesn't get caught up with our JA ego and create a hostile environment. Yeah, well, one of the things, right, that I think is getting lost in all of this, and I think someone mentioned it up here about, how does the rest of the team feel about the stance he has taken and what he has been, or what he said in that interview. And that is the part that I think he will have to deal with that with his teammates. You know what I'm saying? I would hope that Steve McClaren, because he said he's going to talk to all the players, if he's thinking that Bailey is back in his plans in the short term, I would hope that he has spoken to all the other players and ensured that, yeah, we feel a way, but at the end of the day, we know say Bailey a good baller and we want him play with us. You know what I mean? Now, if there's a bunch of backlash from the team, then that's a whole nother story. But again, that's just me speculating. I don't know, right? I don't know anything definitive that certain man no want him back, or I don't know nothing like that. So I'm not going to speculate on that. But just as someone who has been a part of a team before, played football before, whenever a teammate of yours makes public statements that could be taken as disparaging towards the rest of the team, typically there's a conversation that needs to be had for everything to be smooth over, right? So, I am sure that, McClaren would try to facilitate that, whether it's even a conference call with the captain and some of the other leaders of the team, just to let, whatever needs to be said, then I think that needs to happen before. But again, people need to understand this letter does not have to preclude conversations happening. Those things are mutually exclusive, people. Remember that. It depends on the player. Every football team does it. Yeah, man. Big up Gooner. I'm quite sure if McClaren asks for the suspension to be lifted, it will be. That's another take. But here's the thing, though, Jampiel fan. Remember, the last time he was selected and he didn't show up, he wasn't suspended at the time. So again, the reason for the suspension was to avoid him being called by a coach and not turning up. So, even if McClaren asked for the suspension to be lifted, that doesn't mean that we won't have the same issue again where he's called and he doesn't turn up. So I think that's why the ball is now in his court. Henry said, I worked for a big international corporation. When we're at conferences, all the way up to middle management have to share rooms, or we pay the supplement to get own room. This is normal. Absolutely, Henry. Same thing. I worked for a company. I had to go and do some, education as far as management was concerned. And because I was at a certain level of management, I didn't have to share a room, but all the others that were below me did have to share a room. So, you know, it definitely is something that is based on where you are in the hierarchy of the company, right? So I wouldn't expect the president to be sharing a room with, I don't know, the gensec, right? If they're traveling, they probably get their own rooms. And I get that. And again, the players are a part of a team, so it shouldn't be a problem for you to have a teammate. It's not like the man them have to sleep in the same bed. They have their own bed. They just don't have their own room, you know. I'm fire for that if they ever had to do that. I just hope McClaren does not become too chummy with the players like Grimmy. Familiarity breeds contempt. Well, Nitro, that is the balancing act that coaches have to have, right? You want them to respect you, but you also want them to be able to come and talk to you about things as well. So it's a balancing act. You know, based on his personality, he seems to be more along the lines of a Grimmy in terms of, you know, jovial, talking to the players and everything. But my hope is that when it's time to put in the work, he understands that foot down, I will put in the work, you know. But it's always a balance, Nitro. Always. It has to be. All I want is to see football playing and Jamaica reach a World Cup. And 2 wrong doesn't make a right. That is true. Yeah, I agree. I speak in after McClaren have substantial talks with the player first and gives his assurance to the federation. Okay, got you. Yeah. I think the minute, honestly, Jean-Pierre fan, if the talks with McClaren go well, and you know, he facilitates the conversations with Bailey and some other players in the squad, some of the senior members, and everything goes well from that, then, you know, I think the minute that Bailey informs them, whether formally or informally, and it's in writing, it's a paper trail that they can point to, then, you know, yeah, if it's something they can point to, then at that moment, the suspension will be lifted. I agree. Let's not make another forced conversation about rooms, because there are some players in this current national team that like sharing room. It's a matter of personal preference. Absolutely. As I said before, look, and the thing that needs to be noted as well, Peter, in this whole room thing, is that the JFF does not stop players from, you know, paying the difference if they wish to get their own room. They don't, right? So it's not like they're forcing them to room with people. And I totally agree. There are some players that would rather room because they're like, okay, we get to be with my party for the time of day. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if the JFF was saying, I don't care what difference you want to pay, you can't do it, you have to room with someone, then that's a different story. But they don't do that. It's either you're in or you're out. 8 matches before qualification. Very true. The time is not, I mean, yeah, the time is a long way because it's not till next year, till the next one, but it's not many matches and windows left. So yeah, it's get with it or not. Okay, and one last thing I want to ask before we move on from the Bailey conversation, because it's about almost halfway through the show. So do you guys, if you guys had to put a timeline on when you think Bailey might, you know, produce whatever the JFF would need to be available for selection again. And let's take a look at the upcoming fixtures for Jamaica to try to get an idea of when we think this could occur, right? Because that's one thing that I haven't really heard anyone talking about for the most part. They're just talking about the letter and is the letter the right move by the JFF. I am thinking of like timelines, and I'm trying to say, okay, when realistically do we think Bailey might be back, right? So let me put this on the screen. This is the upcoming fixtures for Jamaica, right? So if you look here at the fixtures upcoming, they have already listed the Nations League matches. So we have a window coming up here in September with 2 matches. Obviously, that's going to be too soon, right? The clubs would have received probably by now they would have received some kind of correspondence from the JFF requesting them to be to be available for the window. Then you have the October window, Nicaragua and Honduras. at home. That is when maybe, if all goes well, during this time while the coach is over in England speaking to various players, potentially maybe that could be a chance. But I think more realistic would be if, let's say, we get through the Nations League and we go to the next round. That window would be in November, where we play the quarterfinals, a tie. I think that would be maybe a little bit more realistic. It would have given the player, a good few months to get into his league season. McClaren would have had a few windows to kind of, get the conversation where it needs to be. So I think realistically, before November would be a bit of a stretch, if we're being honest with ourselves, right? So I don't really foresee him being in here for any of these Nations League group stage matches. Again, if we get through this group and we move on to the quarterfinals, that window would be in November, right? So that's one potentially I could think of. But again, we have to remember, it wasn't just about the professionalism. He also mentioned mental health. And a part of what he had problems with was a lot of times when he got back to his club after windows, he struggled to kind of get back up to speed due to all that he was going through when he was on his international break. So if we're being totally realistic, people, I would probably say the next year when World Cup qualifying rolls back around would be the most realistic spot to put Bailey back in the national team. I think that would have given him a full year with club without having any international football. Hopefully by then, the coach is more familiar in the role. He would have seen some windows with Jamaica playing. Hopefully he can like what he sees as far as the style of play this coach is going to employ. We're hopeful that this coach will get some recruitments over the line. I know that Leon Bailey was a heavy part of recruiting while he was a part of the setup. So, I never found him to be one that didn't want players to be coming in that can improve the team. So if McClaren can do his part and get these players over the line, the JFF can make strides in terms of their professionalism. I would say realistically, people, we'd be looking at next June when the World Cup qualifiers roll back around as a realistic expectation for Bailey to be back with the team. But that's my thoughts on it. I'm going to look in the comment section and see what you guys think about the timeline. All right. Triple E, based on my knowledge of it, it is a good 3 to 4 weeks prior to when the window starts, right? So I believe if we look at the window here, let me just go to the EPL as an example. Premier League. Let's see. So Premier League, what happened here? Okay, there we go. So Premier League matches, right? So if we look at the fixtures upcoming, you should see when there's a break in the action right here in September. So the window will officially start on the 2nd of September, right? And it will go until I think about the 11th or the 12th, maybe a couple of days before action would start back up on the 14th, which is that Saturday. So yeah, so 3 weeks before the 2nd would put you about early this week. So I think I'm thinking that they would have already sent out all the correspondence, because when I've asked that question, I've heard anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks, right? With Aston Villa's first Champions League campaign, I don't expect Bailey in the team until next year. Yeah, I agree. With all these things that he's gonna have going on with his club, and in terms of the fixture congestion and everything, and what we know of the reasons why he wanted a break in the first place, I would think he'd want to just focus on his club for the year, Don't expect too many changes for the September window. Me either, Nitro. Wasn't really enough time for the coach. He will come back right after Greenwood and all the brand name players joins. AM Henry is staying on this point that, it's about who we bring in that will make the deal, Jason Gooner, Boyz are not playing, Nana on the bench, Cephas on the bench. What do we do? Call them up? Boy, Chris Smith, that's a tough one, because remember the coach just did his press conference on the 11th. And they mentioned in the press conference that they would have to come up with the composition of the team that same day to get the word out to the clubs to get it to them in time. So I don't know how many other players that we would like to see that maybe haven't represented Jamaica yet could even get here due to them not having papers and stuff. But I will say this: the Jamal Lowe's of the world who missed the goal, the Copa America, players like that, though they for sure would have to be there. I mean, I Damian Lowe is on the bench, but he's at least in his season, right? Boza is a tough one because he's not playing. He just got back to preseason, and he's not playing any games. Cephas also, he's on the bench, but he wasn't even on the bench. He wasn't there, which we're going to talk about. That's the next topic we're going to talk about, is the whole Cephas stuff. So, yeah, I don't know, man. But at the end of the day, Chris Smith, I wonder. I would have to really do a deep dive and see, who are the players that I know to have passports already, who have maybe been in and out of the team, that can take the place of some of these guys that aren't really playing football right now. I would need to do that. But what we do before the squad is out, we're probably going to do a predicted squad anyway. So when we get a little closer to the window, Chris Smith, we'll work all of that out. Zine, big up yourself for being here, brother. I could live with that. Bailey's injury prone and there's a lot of club football this season. Club needs to be informed from early. That's a fair point, Jason G, on the timeline. Yeah, I just don't see it before next June, to be honest. Nitro said he doesn't expect to see Bailey, Greenwood, and Hutchinson until June 2025. All right, cool. All right, people, I think we have exhausted the Bailey conversation, a whole hour of it. So, yeah, just my few cents on it. And hopefully, if you are watching this on the replay and you have any thoughts to give towards this, please do so in the comment section. All right, people. Marvin Ferran says, hi, think LB9 should write the letter. Then I want Mr. Dennis Chung and also Mr. Speed write a letter and tell us what really happened to the U20 footballers. Big up yourself, Marvin Ferran. I would love to see something read at tournament, the technical breakdown or the technical committee's findings and everything. Yes, I would love that, Marvin Ferran. I would love that. Absolutely. I'm with you on that one for sure. All right, people. So the next thing that we want to talk about is going to be this whole fiasco with Ronaldo Cephas, right? So in the title, I said Cephas safe, but was it the right move? And the reason why I asked that question is, clearly Ronaldo Cephas would not take it upon himself to remove himself from training, start training on his own, not show up on a match day to the squad of a team that he's currently employed by. So, clearly it was, on his agents or, his representatives, also guiding his decision making as far as all of this is concerned. So we are just going to talk about some articles that I've seen. We're going to first get it from the side of, over there in Turkey to hear what they were saying. And these articles were about 3 days ago. So, obviously I don't really make content that regularly to be on a daily basis. So forgive me if any of you have already read this stuff, but I think it's important, as I said, to always read things before I start talking about it, because I do believe that, it just lays the foundation for the conversation. So that is what I intend to do here. And let's just go to Turkey today to see what they had to say about this whole ordeal with Ronaldo Cephas. So, as I said, people, this is Turkey today. Turkish football team says, and this was August 12th, right? So this was about 3 days ago, says Jamaican player Ronaldo Cephas is lost. So I want to first and foremost say, some of my fellow content creators in this space came out with some headlines, Cephas missing ? And I saw a lot of people beating them for those things, saying, what are they talking about, this and that. But clearly you see here, there were articles to corroborate those stories at one point. So let's just read this article and then we'll move on. All right. So Turkish Super League football club Ankara Gucu, which actually they're not in the Super League anymore. They were relegated to the first league, but that's okay. I won't beat them for that. And this just says by the newsroom. So this is just, I guess, a collective putting out this. Is grappling with uncertainty as 24-year-old Jamaican left winger Ronaldo Cephas has gone missing. The club reports that they have been unable to contact Cephas, who has not attended recent training sessions. Head coach Sihat Arslan expressed his concern, stating that the team was expecting Cephas to appear for their match against Sanlia Fospor, but he never showed up. We don't know where he is. We thought he would come to the stadium, but he didn't, Arslan said. The mysterious absence of the winger has sparked widespread speculation on social media, with fans and pundits questioning his whereabouts. As the situation unfolds, the club and its supporters anxiously await any news regarding Cephas' whereabouts. So, and that is the conclusion of the article. So basically, this article is saying, yo, we don't know where this guy even is, right? Which is crazy that they had no clue. There's another one that I saw as well. This was 2 days ago. This is also from a publication over in Turkey as well. And this one I like because they tell you he's actually in Turkey's TFF1 league, which is the league before the Super League. He's facing a puzzling situation as their 24-year-old Jamaican player Ronaldo Cephas has reportedly not attended training sessions or the recent match. A notable development is unfolding at Ankara Gucu, which began the season with a 2-0 victory over Sanliurfaspor. The club has been unable to contact their Jamaican forward. Despite being unreachable, Ankara Gucu management included Cephas in the 21-man squad for the match against Sanliurfaspor. However, the player neither attended the training sessions nor appeared at the stadium. Now, folks, isn't that a bit strange to you that he didn't go to training the whole week? They didn't hear from him why he wasn't at training, and they still put him in the match day squad? That's a bit strange to me. Anyway, Ankara Gucu's head coach, Arslan, addressed the situation following the match. We included him in the squad to document his absence legally. Okay, so there's my answer. Cephas hasn't shown up for training and he didn't come to the match either. We don't know where he is. Meanwhile, Cephas posted a photo from a gym on his Instagram account with the caption, "Stay positive." Yes, so I did see that Instagram post actually, and that is what led me to believe that he's not missing, right? So that is what I was able to those were two articles I thought kind of spoke to the whole situation kind of prior to us knowing anything else about it, right? So that is just from their point of view. And you see, they clarified in that second article why he was actually placed on the team. That's for legal reasons, just in case anything was really wrong with him. They wanted everyone to know that they expected him to be there, right? So that's a big deal. Now, that's a big deal, right? So let's now look at what we have heard from the local media in regards to Ronaldo Cephas, right? Because they have had something to say as well. I saw this article in the Observer. So let me find that article and we're going to go through that together as well, okay? So where is it? Where are we? Maybe it was in the Gleaner. I swear it was in the Observer though. Yeah, I think it was in the Gleaner, you know. Okay, yeah, it was in the Gleaner. All right. And this Gleaner article was written today, actually. So this is kind of, you know, once we have gotten some information. Now, again, prior to reading this, I'll tell you, I did look at his Instagram page. I did see the cryptic story where he was sitting down with what looked like a cup of tea in front of him. I'm not going to speculate what that means, but at least we know he's good. He's alive. He's healthy. No issues. He's not kidnapped or any foolishness like that. So that's good, right? But I'm not going to speculate what that actually was supposed to mean because I'm not sure. But I'll just read this article to you and then we'll have the discussion, okay? So, okay, Cephas not missing from Turkish club. And again, big up to Livingston Scott for this article, all right? Reggae Boy winger Cephas in training with his Turkish club. Okay, let's read now. After reports came out a couple days ago that Jamaica and Ankara Gucu winger Ronaldo Cephas had gone missing, the former Arnold Garden speedster has come out to deny the report with posts on his social media accounts. The headline on TurkeyToday.com, which we just read, Turkish football team says Jamaican player Ronaldo Cephas is lost. The report read that Ankara Gucu were grappling with uncertainty as the 24-year-old Jamaican winger had gone missing. It said the club reported that they had been unable to contact Cephas, who had not attended recent training sessions, and even quoted head coach Cihat Arslan expressing his concern. According to TurkeyToday.com, Cihat said the team expected Cephas to appear for their last match against Sanley or Faspor, but he never showed up. We don't know where he is. We thought he would come to the stadium, but he didn't. However, yesterday, Cephas posted a picture of himself working out in the gym with the comments below stating fake news, lost where? In the gym? With a laughing emoji at the end. Arnett Gardens general manager Peter Thelwell also made contact with the player on hearing the report and assured that Cephas was in good stead. It was a false report. It was not put out by the club, but because he was on the starting team on the match card and he never showed, but he was not training or anything leading up to the game, so he didn't show. However, it is understood that 3 clubs have made huge offers for Cephas since Ankara Gucu were relegated from the Super League to the First League. Cephas is also one of the most popular players, not only among the fans of the team, but in the city of Ankara, and the club is reluctant to let their prized asset leave. Nevertheless, Thelwell insists the player intends to honor his contract with the club, but noted that false reports like the one against the player can be damaging in many ways, especially to the respect and love he gets from the club supporters. It is not really a standoff, but he is in the process of transferring to another club. He was in training today because he's still under contract and he's not violating anything in his contract. But he did not expect to be named in the team because he wasn't training. He doesn't want to say much on it, but a lot of people have been calling him since yesterday from inside the city and internationally, including Jamaica. I can assure you people, I did not try to call him. This sort of news could damage his reputation, his personal brand, and public image. I agree. The fans might start to think negative of him because they are being misled and might feel he's betraying them. So whether the report is misleading or not, in a city like that, it could mean anything. It could mean he was kidnapped or anything, and people all over were worrying about him and his personal safety. But he posted today to show that he was actually in the gym training, and he planned to post another in actual training with the team so people can see. And hopefully this will kind of make everyone feel reassured. So all is well with him and nothing is wrong. So I did not, before this show started, do any detective work on his program. So not on his program, on his IG. So, why not do it together? So let me pull up Ronaldo Cephas IG page and let's take a look and see what he has posted from there. All right. And we will find out together. So this is Cephas's IG page. And be sure to smash that like button, people. Don't forget, I don't do ask for it so much, but yeah, hit the like button. So let's look at his story and see. So yeah, he did post 21 hours ago, training with the team. So he kept his word to Mr. Thelwell. Fake news last wear. Yep. So he posted again. And obviously his old stories have gone, but he did post, in the gym, working out. Previous to that as well, I think this is an older post here. This is from July 12th. So he did keep his word, show himself in training. But the main question, right, that I have in the title is what I want to discuss now. Based on everything that we have just read and found out, and what we know to be true now after the fact, was the way he went about this the right move, right? I would like to know what you guys think on that, because we have seen this before. Players force moves all the time. My thing is, did he go about it the right way? Did he go about this the right way? If he does indeed want a move, and the club has stated that he's not up for sale, they want to keep him, they want to get right back to the First League or the Super League, and they do think that he could help in that regard. If you are not happy with the situation and you would like to leave, and offers are coming in, is that the right way to go about it? Do you just remove yourself from the situation? I don't know. For me, I feel like his representatives could have handled this better. I don't see the need in Ronaldo Cephas removing himself when that is why you literally hire representation, so that they can sort these things out and you can still do what you're contractually obligated to do for your current employer. That's the only thing that I'll disagree with in this whole thing. To take the stance to not train, to work out on your own, to assume as well that because you're not training, they're not going to put you in the team. I think all of those were blunders on his and his representatives' part, right? You hire agency and you hire representation so that you yourself do not have to do those things and you can fulfill your obligation to your current employer. So I don't understand why. I don't understand why. I just don't understand why they would have taken this route. The agency or the representation could have done whatever needs to be done, reaching out to the clubs who are potentially in for you, and he can still be there doing his thing. I mean, if he had trained the whole week, played on the weekend in the 2-0, score a goal, get an assist, that doesn't hurt him from making the move or not. If the club is satisfied with the offer, the player can still let it be known, look, I really and truly want to move. It's just on the club they say there are huge offers on the table. So if they're so huge, the club won't turn down huge offers. They won't. They want to make a profit on the player. It's a business they're running at the end of the day. So, it is what it is. And I totally agree with the sentiments of Mr. Telwell that, the way they went about it could be detrimental to him. Suppose the deals fall through. How will the fans who so-called loved him before, how will they deal with him now? How will they look at him now? So I don't see how this situation could have any positive from it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's why you hire those people, so that you can fulfill your duties as a footballer. But yeah, I'm interested to see what you guys think about that. But that's my take on that, and I don't think that they went about it the right way. Chris Smith, I see your questions, boss, and I just feel like it's gonna kind of send me to a place that I don't want to go right now. But I will, before the show is over, before we move on to the Antonio portion, I will revisit the questions about the kid from Costa Rica and what you're asking about Boza not being in the plans at Spartak. I will revisit it, but I just want to stay on topic for now, and then we can go back to it. All right, Chris? Don't take it no kind of way, but I do want to talk about this and answer you. So I will. Okay, so Chris says Cyan Bowen, Cephas them no good. Can't take pressure. He probably mad because they're not playing him. Interesting. Well, the season didn't start yet, Chris. So I don't know how he would have said that. I mean, they lost players because they dropped down. So I mean, they kept most of the players though, to be honest. So he would still have same competition. So yeah, maybe he's just not happy with the playing time for real, to be honest. That sounds like some internal disagreement going on between the player and the team. Yeah, but it sounds like the coach and the board of the club is not on the same page, because the coach put him on the damn team, even though he wasn't training. So clearly he want him in the team, Cyan, I hear a little man, I say we're good in defense. We don't need Ben Godfrey or Mason Holgate. The question I want to ask him is, Lohan King better than Godfrey and Holgate? Yeah, I don't know who said that. I don't know which little man you're referring to, but I remember bringing this up in the chat, saying, look, you may not rate Holgate or Godfrey that highly, but we need to put it in the context of our squad. I think they still improve some of the options we have in our squad. For sure. There's no question about it. Don't know the delusional madness. Yeah, man, it's out there. Sports Prophecy TV, big up yourself. Gooner, him and his agent is looking for a new club. Yeah, man. They did the whole Jamaican thing where you just cut. Yeah, they shouldn't. I don't think they should have went about it that way, man. What is the big deal about Cephas? He's not good. Low IQ. Chris Smith's take on the player. He's not good. He has a low IQ. Yeah, I think he has some attributes that can be worked with, but I think decision making is a big issue for him. I can agree there. He's trying to get a move. Yep. I just don't like the way they're doing it. Seems he's trying to force a move. He can still force a move and turn up to training though, and even play, because that don't mean you're not forcing a move, because your representatives can still be working outside of that. I just don't understand why he had to be a part of the seeking the move. It don't make sense. He's the footballer. He's not the agent. Unless the club left him out. Exactly. If they said, okay, you want to leave, we're not pick you, you don't have to train, then that's different. But clearly they still have him in his plans. So him can't just take away himself. That don't make sense. There is not enough information on the Cephas situation. Well, I can only work with what is given, and the coach in Turkey made a statement saying that he was put in the team for legal purposes because they didn't want any issues there. And he didn't show up. So, from what I know, he's represented by International Dimension, which I believe is Cohen, Mr. Cohen. So, yeah, that to my knowledge, that is his agency. Big up, Conrad. Conrad said, must be a local man. Yeah, I saw him come on, Chris. I saw him come on and play right back for Atalanta. Yeah, I was anxiously awaiting to see if he would start. And when I saw he didn't start, I just wanted to get some time. And then I see that he got some. So, yeah, man, this man is playing in the UEFA Super Cup and we shouldn't pick him. You got to be kidding me, man. Come on. Agree, Jason. It's like wanting an increase and decide I'm going to strike without my union giving that directive. Yeah, you can't jump the gun on things like this. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Very disrespectful to the club. Absolutely. And the thing is, Young Kings, what if the deals are unsuccessful? What if they fall through? What if the money that they're willing to pay and Karaguchu doesn't want to accept? Then you're stuck at a club now where you have to mend that bridge, and it's the coach might hold it against him and say, okay, you're in the team every week, but you're going to sit right here beside me and never play. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't know if they went about it the right way, especially with nothing concrete in place. Now, if tomorrow something comes out and says bid accepted and he's going here, then I'll have to say, boy, the way their method worked. But at the end of the day, this now is out there as something that happened, and he'll always be known as the player that was named on a team and didn't turn up. So I just don't see how there could be much positive residual effect from this. Godfrey had a rough game. He'll be good for us, but that game was not a good one. Yeah, I saw he had a few like half chances that he couldn't quite do much with. I agree. I mean, Godfrey can play right back, can play center back. Yeah, I think he would improve the team. I think if you look at the right back options that we've been choosing lately, I think Dexter pretty much is nailed on as someone who should be in the squad. But, Godfrey would immediately come and push him for that role, if he's going to play right back. So, we need to keep improving the team, keep having that competition for places, and Godfrey and Holgate would provide that for sure. Yeah, that's it. That is it, Young Kings. I mean, what could happen from this is that he's frozen out, and none of us want that, right? So, yeah, I just feel like I disagree with how they went about it. Regardless of what the outcome is, if they do in fact get a move from after all of this, I still feel like it will be something that will be looked upon in a negative light by potential suitors down the road. What if he gets disgruntled with me? Will he pull a similar stunt? So that is what I don't understand about how they went about it. Some of the team personnel were aware of it, but they didn't inform the coach. Okay. Ideal football. How do you know that? How do you know that? Do you have some kind of personal link to the player or his representative? Let me know. Mason Holgate, Ben Godfrey, both can start in Jamaica team. I agree they can, for sure. I mean, look at it. Who was starting at the Copa? Pinnock. We're going with the back three. Pinnock, Latibodier, and Bernard. After that, your center back options would have been Harding, Richard King. Obviously, Lowe could play center back, but we were using him in midfield. I would argue that those last three names I just said, Holgate and Godfrey, should be ahead of them in the pecking order. So, at the very least, they're in the squad. Godfrey can start at left back, right back, CDM. I don't know about the CDM part, Chris Smith. I mean, I'm just basing it off what the coach said. I don't personally see Godfrey as a CDM. I've seen him play enough. I think he's a defender, personally. If you believe otherwise, that's fine. But the square peg in the square hole business, or the round peg in the square hole, we're done with them thing. The square peg in round hole, we're done with it. So yeah, no, I know he can play, but me personally, if I am a coach, I am not playing him at CDM. I don't think that he's a CDM. I think Holgate would have more of a chance to play CDM than him personally. Louis Baker need his deceased grandmother birth certificate. Can a family member apply for that birth certificate? I think that's an Ian Campbell question. To be honest, I don't really know exactly how that would work. Chris Smith, I'm saying if I was the coach, I don't care if he started at CDM for Everton. Everton play good football. Everton is a team that don't play good football. And a part of the reason is probably because they put him at CDM. He ain't no CDM to me, boss. I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, I understand he could and he can and he has. But if I am the coach, I ain't putting him at CDM. I'm playing him at left, right back, or center back. I heard Cranky said on his program 2 days ago that Holgate is a walking red card. Yeah, I heard Cranky saying that as well, and I thought that was a bit harsh. When I was listening to the program, I didn't have access to type or anything. I was in the car, so I couldn't really respond in the moment. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really understanding that comment. I mean, yes, he got a red card for Sheffield last year and then got another one, but I don't know if he's a walking red card. I don't know. He has the record for the most red cards in the EPL. Wow. In the history of the EPL? Wow. Really? Okay. Let's do a little fact checking. Let's do a little fact checking. You thought you read that somewhere? All right. I just typed it in, and this is what I saw. Patrick Vieira, 8 red cards. Richard Dunn, 8 red cards. Duncan Ferguson, 8 red cards. Lee Catamol, 7. Alan Smith, 7. Vinnie Jones, 7. Roy Keane, 7. Joy Barton, 6. This must be old. Because why everybody so old in this? But I put in Premier League history. No, this was 2024. All right, Mason Holgate. Red cards. Actually, let me just go to transfer market. Can look at his career and see how many red cards him actually get. Because I wouldn't think that would have been true. I mean, he ain't the most hard tackling player. Maybe him get double yellows a lot, I guess. Stats all seasons. Actually, I'm gonna do by competition. That way we just see the Premier League. So I don't. This don't make no sense. All right, so he had one last season, another one in 21-22. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he's only had 2 straight reds and 1 yellow red in his career. So I don't know about the walking red card statement. It's a bit of a stretch. I think because he barely played last year, and when he did, he got one. Maybe that's why. I don't know. No, Cyan, I never found out to backside, Jean PL fan Brian, I'll have to ask one of them, Cyan. Jano. I know, I remember the game. You said the Mount Pleasant versus the Charlton U21, right? Let me know if that's the game you're talking. I would start Holgate and Godfrey at CDM anytime over low. Well, yes, Chris Smith, I agree with that. But I'm just saying, if I had other options, I would not play Godfrey at CDM. I would maybe play Holgate there because I think he's a bit more technically inclined. Roy Keane, master disaster. Yeah, man. Roy Keane not take no prisoner. 3 for his career. Yeah. Me didn't want to get it for sure. So I'm gonna look it up. Kung Fu Roy Keane play. He's another name that we keep hearing about. I don't know anything concrete or anything, but 31 yellow in his EPL career and 3 red. Okay, it's not the best, but it's not the worst either. Okay, performance by competition. Yeah, I have 43 yellow, two yellow red, and 3 red in his entire career. So I'd have to add up all of this. Nice. That is a relief. Happy I'm wrong about Holgate. Yeah. So I should check. Yeah, it's quite a bit of yellows for real, you know. Let me see. He has played in total in England. And this is just in the leagues. So from Championship, PL2, and Premier League, he has played 207 matches and has a total of 43 yellow cards, 3 reds, and 2, double yellows. So what's that, like a yellow card once every 4 games, basically? Not the best, but not the worst either. Just, I'm curious, I'm wondering, what about Ben Godfrey in that regard? And bear with me, people. I don't have it on screen, but I'm just looking at it and I'm telling you. Let me see here. Stats by competition. All right, so in the leagues, from League 2, League 1, PL2, right up to Premier League and Championship. Where I think we're gone. Ben Godfrey. And to be honest, I didn't even count the cup competitions, so Holgate have more than that. And Godfrey now 26. So they're both around the same age, 26 and 27. Stats by comp. All right, so Godfrey has played 222 in total, and he has a total of 26 yellows with 1 red. So a bit more careful in his tackling, Ben Godfrey. And that's ranging all the way from League 2 right up to the Prem. So 222 games, quite a few league games there in his career. So 136 EPL appearances, 31 yellows, and 3 reds. Okay. Yeah, man, I don't think red cards are the end all be all of anything, but you'd obviously want them to have less than a lot, so I get people wanting to talk about it, but I don't think 3 red cards is enough to constitute him being a walking red card, though. That's a bit of a stretch. I think he said he was a walking red card and a running yellow card, which the running yellow card one is a lot more on point. All right, listen. Today's program is not all doom and gloom. People are, debates about who's making the right decisions and letter, no letter, or anything like that. Or Chris might want to hear about those yellow cards. Well, yeah, I've been on programs where this was discussed before, but just for context, since we're talking about potential players that could get his place in the squad, I am going to look at Damian Lowe's as well, just to give you some context. So, as I said, in league matches, I think he had 207 appearances and 46 yellows, or 43 yellows, excuse me, and 3 reds. well, 5 in total, 3 straight and 2, accumulation of 2 yellows. And to contrast, when I look at the stats by competition, I'm just going to do league games for Damian Lowe as well. So when you look at his league games, he has played a very similar number, 212. He has 65 yellow cards in that 212, and he has 2 reds, so 1 less, but he also has 3 yellow reds. So they both have a total of 5 reds, whether straight reds or 2 yellows, and they have 65. Well, he has 65, 212 played, 65 yellows, 5 red cards. Holgate has 207 played, 43 yellows, and 5 red cards. So yeah, that is basically to give you an idea. So on the scale of cards, Godfrey came out the best. Holgate was in the middle, and Lowe has the most out of all of them. And also Chris Smith adding the context of the leagues and the level of leagues that Holgate would have played compared to Lowe. So definitely need to factor that in as well. Yeah, so did Zidane. That is true. It was the Liverpool dude Gallagher who mentioned the Holgate thing. Oh, okay. That is true. Rupert has none. Feel sorry for Lowe. His position is in jeopardy. Yeah, it's yeah, the fans that just believe that Lowe's spot is just a given. I think they're gonna be in for something different coming up shortly here. All right, so the last thing in the last little segment of the show, I wanted to end on something that I thought I was really happy to see. Saw on, it was actually a YouTube video with an interview, former West Ham player Nigel Reo-Coker doing some work journalist-wise for, I think it was CBS Sports, had an interview with Mikel Antonio, and he expressed his thoughts about the upcoming season. And towards the end of that interview, Reo-Coker did ask him about, ask him a few questions about the Reggae Boyz, namely, his thoughts on the new manager being appointed, and what he thinks the chances of the Reggae Boyz are moving forward. Right? Can we get everything right going into this World Cup qualification push? So I want to just throw onto the screen the article that was posted today by the Observer. Daniel Blake wrote this one, and it says, "We have quality." And if you saw the title, I said the same. We have what it takes is what I put, actually. But yeah, he said we have the quality needed to get the job done to get to the World Cup. Antonio backs Reggae Boyz to enjoy success with the new coach McClaren. So it says West Ham United striker Mikel Antonio says he is excited about the future of Jamaica's Reggae Boyz following the arrival of Steve McClaren as the new head coach. The 63-year-old McClaren agreed to a 2-year contract with the Jamaica Football Federation to lead the national senior men's team, replacing Icelander Heimir Hallgrimsson, who resigned in June and subsequently joined the Republic of Ireland national team. McClaren, who has served as a member of Manchester United's backroom staff under Eric Ten Hag, has had relative success throughout his over 2-decade managerial career, where he most famously coached England's national team between 2006 and 2007, won the Dutch League with FC Twente in 2010, and had stints in the EPL with Middlesbrough and Newcastle United. Since Antonio's debut in September 2021, the Reggae Boyz have gone through 3 different coaches, with Theodore Whitmore, Paul Hall, and Hallgrimsson. However, despite missing out on the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, Jamaica has risen as high as 53 in the FIFA World Rankings, made the semi-final of the CONCACAF Gold Cup and Nations League, and also qualified for the 2024 CONMEBOL Copa America. Antonio, who has 4 goals in 18 appearances for the Reggae Boyz, says he's looking forward to playing under McClaren and maximizing the team's full potential. One thing with Jamaica is we have the quality players. We have the skill to do it. It's just staying tuned in for 90 minutes, but we have the quality. We have the people that could be eligible to play, he said during an interview with CBS Sports Colazzo. But one thing is, I'm always proud of being Jamaican. I'm always proud of being my heritage. My mom brought me there from the day I was born until I was 16 every single year for 6 weeks. So playing for Jamaica is definitely something I'm proud of, something I'd always want to do and want to keep playing for years. Antonio is expected to be part of McClaren's first squad for the CONCACAF Nations League matches against Cuba and Honduras next month. The 34-year-old is entering his 10th season with EPL club West Ham, where he's made over 250 appearances since joining from Nottingham Forest in 2015. He became a goal threat for the club under David Moyes, where he's netted 54 goals, including finishing in double figures in 4 of his last 5 seasons. However, he'll be under the guidance of a new manager this season, Spaniard Julen Lopetegui, who replaced Moyes, who left at the end of last season after the club finished 9th. Antonio, though, says he's setting high targets for himself and the club ahead of the new season, which starts this weekend. Preseason has been going well, to be fair. It's been hard, but obviously we're learning a new style of play, how he wants to play, and it's looking positive for us. We're liking how it's going, and hopefully we can take into the season and start positive. We've been in Europe over the last couple of years. I feel like being back in Europe next season is a target that we've got to set ourselves. Personally, I always want a minimum of 10 goals a season. Obviously, I want more than that, but minimum is 10 for me. And obviously, I'm getting old. There's a different dimension to my game where I'm starting to come to feet more and try to get involved in the game. But I like to be aggressive. I like to be in the fight and get goals. So that explains how he's been playing for Jamaica recently. He sees himself as someone who has developed that part of his game and wants to add that to his game. Antonio's West Ham begins their 2024-25 campaign against Aston Villa on Saturday, team of compatriot Leon Bailey. So big matchup Saturday, people. 2 Jamaicans going at it. So that should be a good one. But that was the article, people, and I just thought that would be a good thing to highlight just based on the fact that he was sounding so positive, right? I saw the interview, and, you know, a couple of things stood out to me. He made mention of, you know, his love of representing Jamaica, right? And I think that's something that any casual fan or any fan of the Reggae Boyz or Jamaica in general that watches these games, regardless of how you think he performs, regardless of, you know, he's not scoring, one thing that can't be leveled at him is that he's not passionate and tries his damnedest to do his best. He leaves it all out on the pitch when he's playing for Jamaica. Very similar to how he plays at club level as well. You know, he's always somebody that's going to put in a shift. You know, again, you can argue there's things in his game that needs to be better. You can argue that he's not in the box at the time and he's supposed to be in the box. But, you know, in terms of fight, that C word again that people used to beat when Tapa say it, but when McClaren and Halgrimson say it, it's fine. Commitment. You know, you can't level that against him. He's definitely committed to the cause, right? Again, also a player that I'm sure at this point of his career would have been exposed to the highest level of professionalism in football. And I have really yet to hear him at least publicly stating unprofessionalism on the part of the JFF. Now, I have heard him mention that Jamaica itself, the government, is a bit unprofessional in how, you know, if you remember the time when we could only get I think they allowed 2,500 in the stadium, but then he said he's watching championships for the high schools in track and field and the stadium is packed, and he's saying, damn, I mean, I guess we don't care about football as much as we do track. So I have heard him mention the unprofessionalism of the government itself, but, you know, I have never heard him say, you know, I wish they would do this better, I wish they would do that better. I think he kind of understands, look, it is what it is. I'm here to represent Jamaica, and I know it's not going to be perfect, but that's not going to stop me from representing Jamaica. So, you know, that to me is a part of the reason why so many people had a big issue with Leon Bailey's stance, because, you know, I know in his interview he was making the case that I'm the guy, which that can be argued, right? But I think where he kind of missed the trick was, you know, the Bobby Reeds of the world, the Pinnocks of the world, the Amari Bells of the world, the Antonios of the world, who are exposed to that highest level of professional football, they also would have to, you know, temper their expectations a bit to be able to represent us. And, you know, while to want improvement is one thing, to expect things to be exactly like how they are at your club is delusional. You cannot expect that. It's just not going to happen. It's not possible. They don't have the money. They don't have the resources, right? So yeah, you have to kind of understand that. And again, I don't think because we lack resources, we should accept unprofessionalism as a team or as players. But, you know, that professionalism you seek has to be within reason. It has to be contextualized. It cannot be things that we can't actually afford, right? That's my only issue. We have to kind of look at it that way because, you know, whatever you afford in professionalism wise, maybe then certain other aspects of the JFF fall short, whether it's the youth teams, the youth programs. And I can assure you that all the representatives of the national team would like to see the youth teams do well as well. So, you know, it's a case of robbing Peter to pay Paul. If you give everything you want to the senior teams, then there's less to go around for the youth setups. So, you know, they got to be strategic with how they do things. And that's something that I had to kind of learn as I've started a channel. Instead of just being, you know, I would always be bashing before I had a channel, right? And what I've found is, you know, let's try to contextualize things. Let's try to have conversations that make sense and are not one-sided, right? And again, from different thing to different thing, I can bash one or I can praise one, but I don't think it can be a blanket thing. You can't bash across the board. If there's a reason to bash, we bash. If there's a reason to praise, we praise. If there's a reason to be indifferent, we be indifferent. But I think we need to take each thing by a case-by-case basis. And I think that's what Mikel Antonio does as well. Because even in here, he's saying, look, we have the quality, right? We have the quality. We have players who are eligible to play. If we can get everything together. And I think one of the main things that I definitely agree with him with this is we just need to be able to keep it together for 90 minutes. How many times have we watched Jamaica play in recent history and we have said, boy, you see that little 10 minutes from 25 to 35 in the first half, we looked amazing. Or we looked, well, maybe not amazing, but we looked good. We looked better, right? In the Copa America, when we were down, I think 3-0 or whatever it was, the second half we played amazing, you know, but why can't we sustain that? So I totally agree with him that, look, the quality is there, the talent is there. We just need to be able to put it together. And I feel like, you know, concentration levels is a key thing that we need to work on. And I'm just hopeful that this coach can, you know, get us to a point where the majority of the game we are playing at that level that we need to be competitive and to win matches, right? Because I do think that, you know, for the last couple of coaches we've had, you know, there's been, I don't remember a situation where the whole 90 minutes we were like, okay, that was a 90-minute performance. There's always a stretch of the game where we're on the back foot, we're not doing well, we're giving the ball away. If we can just sustain better football for longer periods, I think that we'll be okay and we'll be able to get where we want to get, which is the ultimate goal of being a participant at the 2026 World Cup. So yes, people, we're almost at the 2-hour mark. So I will just, before we leave, go through the comment section and see if anybody has any takes on what Antonio had to say. Red card. Rupert only has 2 yellow cards. He's not human. Yeah, man. Please bring up Pinnock stats. All right. I will do that before we head out. Let's see. Ramos did have a lot of red cards in his career. Yeah, man. Hope Bailey gets the captain armband. Blake is no leader. Wow. So, Youngkins, you're going to say Blake is no leader and then say Bailey is a leader? I don't know, brother. That's a bit strange based on the recent history of Bailey with the national team. They keep bringing up quality of players. Yeah, quality. Gray always saying we have the quality players that can come and help us. Yep. Gray has said similar. Panama and Costa Rica have less quality but are still dangerous. Yeah. And I think a part of that is just a clear way of playing. So they can plug and play pieces and still look the same. We don't have that luxury. He agreed on the hiring of McClaren 100%. Yeah, he did. Right about the crowd thing. He was extremely right. They looked at the two different things. Like one was the stepchild and one was like the, you know, the son that them loved more than the other one, our daughter. West Ham was worried about him getting injured. I found that statement very true and instructive. Yep. Certain players like Damian Lowe have concentration lapses. Yeah, I wouldn't even single out a player. I think it's just the team in general. Jason, it's a psychological problem. That means who is in charge not doing their job. Yeah. I think you have to level it at the coaches as well. I agree. But the fact that he pointed that out, I think was very, very truthful of him, because I have seen it. We have seen it. I mean, when we break down games and how they were, there's typically a stretch of the play where we say, man, if we could just do that for the whole game, we'd be okay. But it's never an extended period of time. I think the longest I've ever seen us play well in a row recently was that, I can't remember if it was the second half of the Ecuador game, I want to say. Because I know the last game was horrible all the way, Venezuela. But the Ecuador game, that second half, how we played in that second half, possession-wise, passing-wise, chance creation, I mean, everything about that second half was good. I literally, if I am Steve McClaren, I'm looking at that second half and I'm saying, how can we battle this up and make this how we play? Obviously, implementing his own, philosophies and whatnot, but that's a good example of how Jamaica could look if we get it right. Yeah, man, that is good. And you know what I love as well, Nitro? I love that I saw it on YouTube yesterday, and the day after, it's in the Jamaica Observer. Because I a lot of times I think that these players make public statements like this, professing their love to the country, and it's not highlighted in Jamaica for the fans to see it. So I love that it was highlighted. Not even one day later, it's there. I love that. So kudos to the Observer for putting that out. Daniel Blake, respect. What is McLaren's preferred system? Well, Ratty, he coached so long ago, I don't know. But I will tell you what transfer market tells us, because he hasn't managed a team since 2018, 17-ish. He's been in advisory roles, assistant roles. So, while I know the assistants have somewhat of a say in what eventually happens, you can't really attribute the formation and the system just to him. Ten Hag would get the credit. So let's look at Steve McClaren. So they don't have an actual preferred formation for him on the website. But what I will do is I will go to QPR, which was his last job in 2019 in championship. And I will try to look at, here, let me get it on screen so you guys can see as well. And then I will look at Pinnock's, just to close off the yellow card, red card discussion. I will look at Pinnock's career cards as well before we head out. All right, so let's look at the last game he managed, match day 39, March 30th of 2019. And he was using a 4-2-3-1 on that day. So if you look at his time at QPR, which is most recent appointment, he fluctuated between 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1, played some games of 3-5-2, but not very many. So yeah, it looks like he fluctuates between 4-2-3-1 and 4-4-2 for the most part, but in his most recent job at QPR, 4-2-3-1 was his preferred formation. He used that more than any other formation. So that's what I will go with for now, 4-2-3-1. So looks to prefer a back four. And we know that, that's something that most coaches nowadays, I think that's a differentiator between coaches. Are you a back four coach or a back three coach? So, he looks to be more of a back four coach. Yeah, they went up 2-0 in the first half, and I think they end up winning the second half 1-0, but no, it was 1-1 in the second half because Antonio did score. But yeah, I thought that second half, rewatch that second half, people. It was a decent one. And that could be true, Ronnie M. I mean, they could have eased off, but even still, we still had to play the game the way we played it. And I thought we played it well. The patterns were there. We kept the ball. Yeah, I thought it was a good performance from us in the second half. Bless up DJ Gigs. You're late to the party, but you don't know. Rewatch when you have a chance. And drop a like on the video for me, my boss. All right, so the last thing we want to do before we cut out, we were doing the conversation earlier of the yellow cards. We looked at Mason Holgate. Was being called a walking red card by my brethren Cranky. Don't know why. Then we looked at Ben Godfrey. Then we looked at Damian Lowe as well. And now we're going to take a look at Ethan Pinnock's career and see what his yellow card ratio looks like as far as in the leagues. Ethan Pinnock. So let's see. Ethan Pinnock, stats by competition. All right, so from National League all the way up to Premier League, he would have made 270 appearances. This man has 13 yellow cards and 1 red card in the championship in 2021, people. So has played more games than all the players we just looked at and has a fraction of the number of yellows and reds that they had. So that just goes to show the type of temperament and timing that Ethan Pinnock has as a defender, because you can't say that he doesn't tackle, but I just think the timing and when he decides to is much more on point than all the others that we just looked at. So if we were ranking them in least amount of cards, Pinnock would be at the top of the list. Then you would have Ben Godfrey, then you'd have Mason Holgate, and then Damian Lowe would have the most yellows out of all of them. So yeah, that is basically it. And I did promise Chris that I would revisit something he was asking. Cranky also said Gray did not score a lot of goals, only great goals. Let's hope Holgate prove him wrong as well. Yeah, that would be nice. Let's hope Holgate comes at period. You know what I'm saying? So we've heard so many names in the past 3 years and they never come. So we're just hopeful at this point that they can come to the line, get through the line. All right, where's the question that Chris was asking me now? Okay, I think it's before this. Okay, yeah. All right, so. Okay, he was asking about this. All right, so your thoughts on a 22-year-old kid from Costa Rica starting at Spartak Moscow and he is playing striker? Is it that they are better developed than our players? Yeah, so the 22-year-old you're referring to is Ugalde. He is, to me, a top striker in CONCACAF for sure. I would say he's on the verge of becoming one of the best in CONCACAF. Went to Spartak Moscow last season. Yeah, I think it was last season he got there. And, immediately made his mark on the team and started to get minutes in a starting role. And I think he's a part of the reason why Shamar Nicholson has been deemed surplus to requirements this season. Yeah, he's 22 years of age. Right now, his market value is at 7.5 mil, which I think will grow again after this season is completed. So wouldn't be surprised if he gets up into the teens, 12, 13, 14, 15 million by the end of this season. And of course, when you're a striker and your market value is around that area, more than likely you will be sold for even more than that. So yeah, he's made 1 appearance already this season in the Russian Cup and he has 1 goal. Let's see, the league, he has 4 appearances already and 3 goals. So he started out the season on fire. Has made 12 appearances for Costa Rica as well with 3 goals. Made his debut for Costa Rica all the way back in 2020 when he was at the age of about 18 years of age. So, yeah, that is amazing what he has done so far. Let's see. Yeah, he was 18 at the time of his debut. So actually, he was only 17, hadn't turned 18 yet. So yeah, he was 17 when he made his debut for Costa Rica. But yeah, this player, I think, is one that, is going to really start to make his mark in CONCACAF with Costa Rica. You saw him in the Gold Cup, not the Gold Cup, sorry, the Copa America playing as well, and didn't look out of place. But yeah, this is a player that I feel is just going to go from stride to stride. He's a champion in Costa Rica at his previous club. He came out of the school of the Saprissa. He's been to Belgium, he's been to 20, he's been, back to Belgium again, and now he's landed at Spartak Moscow. So already has a lot of experience in Europe even. He made that transfer over from Saprissa when he was just 18. As soon as he got to 18, he went over to Belgium, was there for a bit, then was loaned to 20. and then 20 eventually bought him outright, had a good season in the Eredivisie, and then right after, it didn't even last in the Eredivisie a full season. By January, he was already bought for 13 million by Spartak Moscow. So, his trajectory continues to go up and up and up. And yeah, to your second part of the question, is it that they are better developed than our players? I think that is definitely the case. When you look at the quality of the league, the quality of the just the league in Costa Rica being able to produce younger players. I think, one of the reasons why Costa Rica was able to change over their national team so fast is because of the development of their local league. So, when guys are a bit long in the tooth, they can try out these 17, 18-year-olds who are already playing at the top level in Costa Rica. Because, one thing's for sure, when you're in a country like that and you have the talent, you're going to get opportunities. And it's not as if, getting an opportunity in the Costa Rican league is anything to slouch or shy about, because they do have a high quality league. If you look at the where the Costa Rican league is ranked in world football, basically they are let me see, when you look at the Costa Rican league, right, in the entire world, Costa Rica is ranked 45 in their Premier Division, right? When you juxtapose that with the Jamaican league and where they're ranked, we're talking, I think the last time I checked, they were somewhere up in the 160s or 70s. So, that's a big difference there. Yeah, so Jamaica is ranked 14th in the region. Costa Rica is ranked 3rd, only behind Liga MX and even the Ascenso Mexican division as well. Costa Rica in team forms league ranking is even above the MLS. So it's not a slouch league at all. Costa Rica is definitely doing their thing as far as development, and they have been able to professionalize their league to the point where, all the top players in the region don't mind going there to play. We have players there, and it baffles me that, Javon East, who I've never been the greatest fan of, but I have to call a spade a spade. He's been able to hold on a starting spot at one of the top clubs in Costa Rica, and based on that, their league is considered worldwide as a better league than the MLS. And if we have a striker in the MLS, we automatically want to put him in the team if we don't have any other strikers. So I just don't understand why Javon East has been such an outcast in these past few years. He has proven himself in that league, proven himself in CONCACAF competitions as well. So yeah, we need to start looking at how we evaluate these players and base it on where they are in their leagues, because it does make a huge difference, right? So before I head out today, I will just close it off by talking about the comment section. So let's see if anybody added anything. Yeah, know yourself, bless up yourself. Geek same like the video already, respect my boss. Cranky also said Gray did not score a lot of goals, only great goals. Yeah, I read that. Peter Mystic back again says, I have never seen one person create so much toxicity in a national program as Craig Butler. It's been over a decade that he's done this. Let's hope the separation takes place with not only Bailey, but with Whisper as well. All right, Peter Mystic gives his take on that. Appreciate your take there, Peter. I'm not sure I missed it. Is there any rumored move for Boza? The only thing I read, Jean-Pierre fan, there was an article basically from his representation saying that they expect a big season from him, and that they are working tirelessly to get the right situation for him this year. But they did also say in that same article, if he can't get a move, then he'll just have to put his head down and fight to get a place back in the Spartak Moscow team. So we'll see. Young Kings don't have no time, just says both are not good. All right, Young Kings. While the league in Costa Rica is better, the main difference is that their youth players get way more senior minutes from they are 15, 16. We don't do that in JA. And not only that, Jean-Pierre fan, they get way more minutes. But even if our guys are getting way more minutes at that age, the Jamaican league is not at the level to say, okay, you're getting minutes in the JPL, that means you reach a certain level. But when these guys get those minutes in that league, then you have to start looking at them and saying, wow, this guy must be good because he's playing in this level of a league. You know, that's the thing. We need to get our league to a better level so that it even matters if we play young players are not in the league. Because to me, even if you're 25 and you're playing in the JPL, or not even that old, but are 21, right? Is that really that big of a feat in the JPL? I don't think so. I mean, the league is what it is, man. It just needs a lot of improvement. Why was Javan East discarded? I don't know. Well, look, as I said, I wasn't the biggest fan, so I'm not gonna act like, you know, I've been calling his praises. But again, you have to contextualize things. At the time when he was getting picked, I didn't see it. I wasn't really understanding, you know, what he was doing and everything. But he has been so consistent in the Costa Rican League, in the CONCACAF leagues, playing for Saprissa, that he deserves to get a look again. I think he has to. Ian Frey is back. Yeah, man, I know. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he can stay that way. MLS is currently ranked 16th. Where is Costa Rica League ranked? Well, it depends on what you're talking about. Like me personally, I work with teamform.com because when I did my research on these league rankings things, a lot of variables that I don't care about are added in, like viewership and how many people go to each match and attend, you know, all those things. This is literally based on like football. The only factor that Team Form uses is football. They literally sit down with analysts and they try to give each team in the league a rating based on like 0 to 100, and the leagues are done the same way. So it's done on a scale out of 100. The Premier League is first, La Liga is second, Bundesliga third, Serie A fourth, League on fifth, Brazil is sixth, Portugal seventh, Mexico Liga MX eighth, Argentina Premier Division tied in ninth with Greece Super League, and then Turkish Super League 11. But MLS is not in the top 50, right? Let me see if I can get this on screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This is the last thing I'm going to do, people, before we head out. And I tend to work with this one, Jean-Pierre, because when I did my research, when I was looking at league standings and league strengths and all these things, I liked their breakdown as to how they came up with this. It didn't factor in things that I don't really see as valuable when you're breaking down the league itself. Like any league, any list that has MLS all the way at 16th is putting way too much emphasis in my eyes on attendance and, you know, TV rights, money, and all these things. I don't factor that in. I just want it to be based on the football, you know. And I think Team Form did that the best as far as I'm concerned. So this is the site that I'm talking about. It's called teamform.com. And again, I tend to work with this one for the reasons I just gave, right? But this is the actual list right here. And you can break it down by region as well. So if you just want to see the North and Central American region, this is it. So they have the two Mexican leagues at the top, Costa Rica just above MLS, which is 69.7. Somebody's put that they are 51, which makes sense because Costa Rica is a little bit above them. Guatemala, a third level of Mexico as well. So 3 Mexican league teams before you even get to the Honduras league, right? Then you have Honduras just above Panama, Costa Rica's second league, ahead of some other big countries, well, not big countries, but ahead of some other places like El Salvador and Jamaica's Premier League. You know, you have 2 leagues from other countries ahead of Jamaica on the list, right? But let's look at the world ranking again, and I'll scroll down. So, you know, you'll see some countries have a couple of leagues ahead of certain places, like Italy, Serie B is right there. You know, and then boom, if you look right here, where did I pass them? Okay, so there's Costa Rica at 45, right? And then when you load more, MLS right there at 51. So they're not too far apart, but the MLS 51 and Costa Rica 45. And as I said, there are other places that you can check to get league rankings. But again, I implore you to look at the genesis of how they came up with it. And a part of the reason why I like this one is the way how they came about it. It's not based on some of the variables that other sites would use that I think don't really matter in terms of the play of the football, you know? Come on, Jason. If you're using CONCACAF Champions Cup results, MLS is over Costa Rica. Saprissa carry a lot of the load for them. I mean, I get where you're coming from in terms of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. It's typically an MLS or a Mexican team. But, I mean, look, fair enough. I wouldn't say that Costa Rica is overwhelmingly better than the MLS. But I'm just saying there are metrics out there that think that Costa Rican league is higher. So, you know. And as I said, I gave my reasons for why I use this as my metric when I'm looking at league rankings. But you know, if you feel a different way, that's fine as well. You can use just the top of the league though. Yeah. Because you know, I guess what they factor in this as well is like, you know, MLS has way more teams, which is kind of watering it down, you know. So that's a part of it as well. The same little guy said Pinnock is no good and Lowe was a way better player. Boy, I beat little guy today. Javan East is a meme preventing us from scoring on the goal mouth. Yeah. I think Peter Mystic, you're very true. This is true. But again, Peter Mystic, we can't just have this blanket vibe where the man do this one time, you know, so I never want to see him again. The man can improve, brother. What do you think? The man just stop play football after that? We can't just use that alone. And Peter Mystic, I was guilty of this, you know. That's the same. I would always bring that up. The man missed the easiest chance. But I see him, so them used to beat Bobby Reed for missing a chance against USA till eventually people say, Ratty, you know, say Bobby is one of my most important player them. So yeah, you have to at some point, Peter Mystic, you have to get over it, you know. Constantly, yeah. Look. There's a reason why when you go to the doctor and you don't like what them say, you might get a second opinion. It's the same with these league rankings lists. I just thought after researching all the different sites that this one used the most of the metrics that I found to be important. And that's the only reason why I run with that as my kind of guiding light as far as rankings, you know. But anyway, people, this conversation could continue forever. But listen up. This was a very, very, very good show. I really appreciate all you people commenting. I didn't even check the likes and beg no likes, but let me see how nice you people were to me on this like button, because we should have been able to hit close to the 100 mark. All right, 75. I will take it, people. For a show where I did not even ask about likes very often, I will understand and take that I got the 75. But anyone who may have forgotten on your way out, please and thank you. Hit that like button, people. It definitely helps to grow the channel, let people know what's going on. You know what I mean? Peter Mystic, thank you for the kind words, my friend. Fan of mine that you just forward. Run it back. Wheel the thing. Pull up. Yeah, man. Let's go back to the Genesis, the beginning, and you will be well informed on what I thought about Bailey. See? Yeah, man, fan of mine. Sorry I missed the show, but at them time, people, afternoon is here. Man need to eat some food. Yeah, man, I'm hungry. So I'm going to get some food, people. Training later. If you watch my daughter train, yeah, man, it's always good. Pick up all kind of picking up of children and everything. And tonight at 8:30, my second draft. Had a draft last night. Went really well. I love my team. When my team then pick people, me drop them in the community tab so you can let me know if I know what I do as a coach. All right. So big up on yourself. And yeah, man, thanks for all the well wishes on the way out. And don't forget, if you haven't already, please do hit that like button. He has decided not to attention completing necessary procedures at a notary. The issue should not be prolonged. All right, thank you, Ideal Football, because you did mention earlier and I asked you, you never answered me, but thank you for letting me know. All right, respect. And Ideal Football, link me on IG privately, man, so I can know who you are and things, because look like you could be a good resource of information, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, do that. Jason Gooner TV, just look me up on IG and send me a message, my boss. All right, big up. Danny Dread, up, you know. No, I'm a football dad. I don't care how long I live in America. I'm not calling it soccer. Sorry. No. So I'm a football dad. Yeah. All right. Big up on yourself, people. I'm out of there. Thanks for all the appreciation. And yeah, man, good conversation. And again, fan of mine, not anybody who missed the show, drop it in the comment section and let me know so we can continue the conversation. Yeah, man. Blessings, manners, and respect. And we out of here, my people. Big up on yourself.